Your call is important to us. Please hold the line.
All operators are busy at the moment. We apologize for the wait and will answer you shortly. Our operators are busy at the moment. Your call is being transferred. Thank you for calling.
Oh, yeah. What's up, everyone? Welcome to another edition of the Hauntline Live. I noticed that I don't have any Six Flags merch, so I'm just rocking the Camp Crystal Lake shirt today. But, you know, it's all good. It is what it is. Well, joining us in studio today to help us review Six Flags Fright Fest 30th anniversary with 2 new mazes. Joining us today is Nico from the Entertainment Connection. What's up, brother?
Yeah, what's up, man? How's it going?
It's going good, man. I am super excited to break down Fright Fest 30. I want to start by saying thank you to you for inviting me out as your plus one. Dude, I had a blast, man. Like, honestly,
it was a lot of fun.
Both times that I've gone recently to Fright Fest, I have had an absolute blast, and it has a lot to do with the company, but also the performers, man. Good vibes throughout.
And I also don't have any Fright Fest merchandise.
Nice.
There was one shirt.
There was one shirt that I wanted. I should have picked it up. It had the 23 on it. We were like, oh, why? But it's the year 30, but it's also 2023. So that was a little confusing. I should have got it. Anyways,
did they have any 30th merch?
They didn't. Nothing that specifically, right. I think we had concluded that night. They didn't have anything that specifically said Fright Fest 30, which is kind of an odd choice, but you know, it is what it is.
Yep.
Well, I just want to go to the chat real quick. Rob, what's up, brother? How you doing, man? Could have borrowed my hoodie tonight. Oh, well, damn. Bring it over, dude.
yeah, we still got time.
Anthony Vlogs joining us too. Yeah, man. Kind of a interesting turnout for Six Flags, but you know what? That's all right. Yeah. Hopefully we can convince everybody that it's not that bad.
It's not that bad. It's not. We'll
really
get into that in a little bit.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, so we're going to keep it pretty simple tonight. I want to break down the 2 new mazes. Of course, we have Saw X and The Conjuring joining the lineup of mazes that have been there for a while. And then there's also year 2 of Truth or Dare. We'll get into that in a second for sure. I've got a lot to say. But, Nico, we were driving out to Six Flags, and we were talking a lot about Warner Brothers Horror Made Here. We were having a blast reminiscing on that, and like, what a unique little event, honestly, that just kind of came and went. There's been a lot of discourse lately about Warner Brothers horror properties at Six Flags. I don't know if Horror Made Here is ever going to come back, but Nico, what do you think, man? Could we see Warner Brothers horror properties at Six Flags more now that we have year 1 of Conjuring and Saw X? What do you think, dude?
I don't know. I honestly don't know. Conjuring was a really good start. It was an excellent maze. But like, the selfish part of me just wants Warner Brothers to do their own event again.
Sure.
Because it was so good just talking about the Camp Crystal Lake or Nightmare on Camp Crystal, whatever it was called.
That was so cool, man. So cool.
All of the mazes they had there, it was just a unique and fun experience. If Six Flags puts a little bit more of a budget into these Warner Brother mazes, if they're the ones budgeting it,
Right.
then I would love to see Six Flags do more Warner Brother themed mazes.
Sure. Sure.
But
Yeah, I mean, honestly, I agree, Ariana. I totally agree with you, man. It's too bad they didn't stick it out. I know,
I
Warner Brothers
know.
Horror Made Here was such like it was lightning in a bottle, and
Yeah.
for a while there, people were saying, for the new Android or new phones, they were calling them the iPhone killers. I personally think that Warner Brothers Horror Made Here, had it given itself a little bit more time, a little bit more money, it would have been the HHN killer. I think it would have really come for HHN in a very unique way. And I guess we'll
Yeah.
see what happens in the
Yeah.
future. But
Like, it was so good. It just light crowds.
right,
So
very
it made
light.
it very intimate when you walk through these mazes and experiences. Uh, it was great.
Yeah, man.
But hopefully we see it back soon.
We'll see. I do. I am going to work on a history of Horror Made Here very soon. So I'm going to dive into it because, again, it was one of those events that, especially for SoCal, was super unique and it had great potential. So we're gonna dive into that little haunt history coming up later.
Nice.
But I'll see when I do it. I mean, it's already the start of October. I don't know how the hell that happened. Like we're already. I mean, I don't even want to say it, but the end is nigh.
I know.
It's
What happened
I hate
to
it.
September?
It went too fast. Rob,
It-
it's good. Been telling people for years. It ain't as bad as you heard. Yeah, let's start getting into Six Flags. Let's start breaking down Six Flags. So, I mean, I guess we'll start with the new mazes.
Okay.
We'll start with the one that's, I guess, I don't know. It's kind of nearest to the entrance.
Okay. Yeah.
Is
true.
anything really near to the entrance at Six Flags? Not really.
Now, with the new pathway, it is pretty close to the entrance.
Sure. We're on the same page, right? The Conjuring. The Conjuring. Is that what we're talking about?
Oh,
Yeah.
oh no,
You're talking about Saw.
no. But all right. Oh, I guess.
Are you
it's
talking
not a
about
new
Truth or
maze.
Dare?
It was a new maze for us.
Sure.
Okay.
Okay.
Well,
we'll save Truth or Dare for later.
Conjuring is definitely not near the entrance.
No, it is not. Yeah. Let's
Yeah,
start
let's
with The
start.
Conjuring, though. I honestly was pretty pleasantly surprised overall. But Nico, what are your thoughts on The Conjuring at Six Flags?
Very good start. It was. I don't know if Six Flags is gonna keep it for 30 years like they have their other mazes, but there's a bug. Sorry. Yeah, it was super good. I didn't really recognize any of the scenes in there from the movies except the end.
Sure.
But I think it was scary. I thought the actors were phenomenal. Yeah, I think it was a triple. Not a home run, but a triple.
Sure. I think you put it the best way possible. It's a great start. It's a great first try with a big IP because Six Flags, they've had IPs in the past, but not really to the level of like The Conjuring or Saw. What was that one they had in Vault 666? The overlay. It was.
I don't know.
I'm blanking on the name. Maybe Rob, you can help me.
Hellfest.
Hellfest. Yes, Hellfest. So they've
Wasn't a
dabbled.
Hellfest.
No, they've dabbled with IPs in the past, very lightly, but never really fully dove into it like they did this year. And I think again for a first try, not bad at all. I had to. I'll be honest with you. I had to after I came home. I had to do like I watched a recap of The Conjuring. I probably should have watched it before we went out there. But I started noticing a little bit more like, oh, okay, that's the little kid with the music box. That was who was in the walls with us.
Oh,
yeah, he's got the little music box.
That makes sense.
Right.
That
I
makes
don't know why there was a priest in there. I don't know if that was supposed to be Ed Warren. Because it's Ed who performs the exorcism in The Conjuring.
Yeah, I don't think so because Ed definitely didn't wear a priest outfit in the movie.
No, yeah, definitely not. I do love and I appreciate that we started in the Warrens' house. That was pretty cool. Good amount of detail there. What are your thoughts of the little show moment there, man?
It was fine. It was
Sure,
good.
sure,
It was a little silly,
sure.
but I wasn't mad at it. I
Right?
think that's really going to be a line killer, or not a killer, but it's gonna like make the line
Back
super
up.
long.
Yeah,
Um, the line was already at like 2 hours the night we
yeah,
went, and
yeah.
that's when the event first started. But it doesn't help that it was a media event, so we were kind of ruining that for the guests. But
Sorry.
um, it's hard to not compare. So like
Sure.
when you go into the antique room or the artifact room at Horror Made Here, and they had little things happening throughout the room to make it
Right.
feel like a spirit, but then you go in there and nothing really happens, just a loud noise, and then there is another monster in the room with Lorraine or Ed?
Ed or Lorraine, yeah,
Yeah,
right. Because
Ed.
there's a cast switch there that happens, which is
Yes.
pretty
So
interesting.
so it was fine, just
Sure.
a little silly on my like in my opinion.
Yeah, I feel like they could have had a little bit more to do, a little
Yes.
more interaction. I don't know, something. I was staring at Annabelle because they have Annabelle in the
They
room.
do, they
I
do.
was staring at her because I'm like, what are you gonna do? Like,
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
was waiting for her eyes to move or her head to tilt. I didn't notice anything when we were in there. Um,
No.
but maybe looking back on the footage, I'll see some movement or something. Now, I will say to your earlier point, both of these new mazes had incredibly long lines, like
Mhm.
incredibly long lines. It was pretty wild when we first got to Saw. I mean, there was tons of people there, and then when we got to Conjuring as well, and they were really pulsing people, which
Mhm.
is kind of nice, but also it created a pretty big backup.
Yes.
Um, and I don't know, man, it's kind of like a double-edged sword. How did you feel about how they were pulsing people?
So I'm a fan of pulsing, but also with these events, if you're going with just a general admission, it's gonna suck
Yeah,
because you won't be able to really experience anything. What's nice about having these two new mazes that are IPs is that it makes every other maze super short waits.
right, right.
So I like the pulsing, but do not make Saw X or The Conjuring your first mazes of the night because those will probably be the only two you get to do.
Absolutely. Yeah. Rob brought up a
Oh,
little memory here. Oh man, so we were waiting to get
do you
media
want to let them
access.
know? Like,
We were waiting to get media access to Saw, and there was a very angry man who was kind of next to us. Nico, what did he say?
so we walk up and the media gets to go kind of like through the exit to the side of the entrance where the general queue is. So this guy with his two kids, like we just show up, we're minding our own business, joking around with each other. Then I just like look over and he goes, "Do you want to let them know that we waited 3 hours and 40 minutes for this maze?" Like, um,
Oh man,
I'm pretty sure you just did.
you're right.
And then the lady goes, "Do you want to go in?" And he's, "Yeah." I'm like, "Okay, man, just go, please." Like,
Oh man, Wonders of Magic,
oh,
yeah, crazy lines. We got so
we
many
did.
side eyes. Yeah, I
Yeah.
definitely did feel bad. I am curious if the man actually waited 3 hours and 40 minutes, because honestly, my limit in a queue is 20 minutes. Like I
Yes.
start losing my mind after 20 minutes. Anything
Yes.
above half an hour, I'm out.
Yep.
So the fact that Homeboy stood in line for maybe 3 hours, 40 minutes, I mean,
Yeah.
I guess
I'm like,
kudos to you for having the
good
patience to do
job,
that.
man.
Yeah.
But also, you could have gotten out of line. You didn't have to wait 3 hours, 40 minutes.
Right, right.
Nope.
Yeah.
Jigsaw is not holding you there with a trap saying,
Right.
"If you get out of line, game
Oh
over."
man.
Ugh,
So, yeah,
wild.
definitely a great tip, Nico. If you're going to Six Flags Fright Fest, maybe save Saw and Conjuring for the end of the night. Kind of make your way through the other houses, which, by the way, I didn't realize this, but Six Flags calls them houses as well. They're haunted houses on their map. So I know, Nico, you got strong feelings about that.
Nope. Mazes.
So they have 8 haunted houses this season to choose from. Definitely save The Conjuring and Saw X probably toward the end. That would be my biggest piece of advice to you, because literally all the other houses had little to no wait. I mean, it didn't seem like there was a lot of people waiting for them, and there was a lot of people in the park. Like, it was busy, y'all. It was very, very busy. So, that would definitely be my tip for surviving Fright Fest this year for sure.
I think the longest line that was not for Saw X or The Conjuring was Truth or Dare.
Right.
And that was maybe 10 minutes.
Yeah.
So don't hit those mazes first. Mazes.
Yeah. And to
I'll
answer
even take haunted trails.
Sure. But you're not going to call them houses? You refuse to call them houses?
If I'm not walking through a house, I'm not calling them a house.
I mean, technically, The Conjuring, we were walking through a house.
Okay,
so
then that's
I'll give them that one. And then Condemned.
Haunted house. And
Willoughby's Condemned. So they do have a couple of houses.
I'll call Saw X a haunted warehouse.
There you go. Ariana, to answer your question, the lines for specifically Conjuring and Saw X were pretty long anytime that we walked by them up until the end of the night. But everything else was pretty chill, which is nice. Rob, Willoughby's is a house. It definitely is a house, sir.
It is a house. That's what I'll call that one.
Aaron Flores, I was working knots and I saw you come through. It was awesome. Thanks, man. Thanks for all your hard work out there. Thanks for keeping the event together. I appreciate it. All right. So, any final thoughts on The Conjuring, my friend?
Conjuring was great. I thought the basement scene was fantastic. It was it was pretty intense.
Yeah.
Like, I've only been to Fright Fest once before, and that was with you.
Oh, snap. I didn't realize that.
Yeah, back in 2021.
Yeah, 2021.
Yeah,
that's right.
So that was my first Fright Fest.
Wow.
None of the houses or mazes were really that intense, but The Conjuring was good, and it built up a lot of uneasiness.
Yes.
Like girl banging her head against the wardrobe.
Yes.
I am just sad that I missed the clapping portion.
Sure.
I'm glad you got that.
Yeah, I definitely got a little bit of that.
And if you haven't already, go to Instagram and watch Jonathan's reel for The Conjuring, because that made me want to drive up there right now and go through it. That reel is so good.
Thanks, man. And shout out to TLEV, the E's, Mr. and Mrs. E, for helping us out with that one. It was great getting their live reaction to it, because truly there was portions of it where I was walking around and I was like, what is about to happen? There's a couple of portions too that change elevation, so it kind of adds to the disorientation of where the fuck am I going right now? What's about to happen?
Yes.
But lots of good moments, lots of fun moments in there for sure.
And then the very end, you freaked a little bit.
I did, yeah.
Which was quite funny.
I don't want to spoil the ending, but there is a show moment that, I guess not a show moment, but there is an animatronic scare there that really confused the hell out of me, because it's dark, you can't really see much in front of you, and then all of a sudden there's this movement that happens. And I freaked. I literally freaked, man.
It was so good.
Just like, ah!
It was so good. But yeah, Conjuring, probably my favorite of the night.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah, that one felt the most to me like a perfect haunted house, a perfect maze. Again, really solid first year. I hope they continue this momentum, because if they do, Six Flags might be something that I go out of my way to do every season. And I'm excited at that potential to maybe have another IP-based haunt where I will kind of quite literally go way out of my way to go check out.
Yes. But like even with the Conjuring and Saw X, with them being these IP mazes with a pretty good budget, it still feels like those classic haunted houses you would go
Sure.
through back in the day. Like that's what I love about Six Flags Fright Fest. Like it's just the campiness.
Sure.
I love the feel of the mazes there.
There's a charm. There's a
Yeah,
charm for
yeah,
sure, an old school charm. And once
yeah.
we touch on the other mazes, I'll definitely touch on that because Willoughby's has a lot of that for me.
Yes.
Definitely has a lot of that for me. Aaron with the $1 million question here. Conjuring compared to Knott's mazes. I mean,
It's apples and oranges to me.
it is.
Like,
it is. It's very much apples and oranges.
if I
Different.
had a, go
Sorry,
ahead.
go ahead, Nico. Go ahead.
No, go ahead. You're good.
I was, it's a different approach to design entirely. Whereas Knott's has a team that builds all this stuff, like an incredible team that builds all this stuff in house, or where Horror Nights has the budget to go out and about to like hire people to put these mazes together. Six Flags is working with what it's got, and I'll give them a pass for that for sure. So it's very much apples and oranges. What were you gonna say, Nico?
No, like if I had another Six Flags event to compare it with, that
Sure.
I would be able to do that. But it's like comparing Six Flags to Knott's or Knott's to Horror Nights. I just can't do it because they all have different feels
Sure.
to
Yeah.
it. So I love Six Flags for its own reasons. I love Not Scary Farm for its own reasons. I love Universal for its own reasons. So I can't really compare.
Yeah, absolutely. But again, I see the effort. I see what they're trying
Yes.
to do. And I think if they continue on this route, it's going to be pretty fun. It's going to be pretty awesome.
Six Flags, please give Magic Mountain a budget because
Yes.
they're fighting with two high caliber haunts.
Right.
So-
And again, the crowds will come out for it. It was very
Absolutely.
evident that the people want
Yes.
new experiences at Six Flags. The lines were long. People
Yep.
want to do these kind of things at Six Flags Magic Mountain specifically. So definitely, I think if they put forth the effort, they're going to have great results.
Yes. 1,000,000%.
Yeah, absolutely. Dalen, what's up, brother? Good to see you too, man. It was nice watching the Slider Show and hanging out and chatting with you. Always a pleasure to see you, brother. Yeah, we got to meet the whole crew, man. The whole crew was there.
I saw you, Dalen, but I was probably like,
Yeah, by that point,
My-
our boy Nico was done.
my feet were about to fall. But like,
Them 30s were 30ing, you know what I mean? They were 30ing for me too. I'll tell you that much. And Aaron, of course, that's the goal here. I always try to be as honest as possible. But I also don't like. My biggest problem right now is that a lot of people are walking into these mazes and they're going like, "Oh, that sucked." Okay,
Yeah,
but
man.
why? Right?
Yeah.
Like, are you walking into Six Flags expecting Horror Nights mazes? Are you walking into Six Flags expecting Not Scary Farm mazes? Then that's kind of on you, bro. Like,
yeah. And another thing is when we talk about this, we'll never bash an event just to bash it. It's always constructive.
right?
We
Absolutely.
want to see every single haunt event succeed. So
Absolutely, because at the end of the day, we love them and we
Yeah.
love going to them. That's the whole deal.
we're
Absolutely.
never putting anything down
right
to make
right.
him feel bad.
Absolutely. Juliet, great question. Does Magic Mountain offer themed food for Fright Fest? It does, actually. If you download their map, they have a couple of things that stick out. I have it open right now. I probably should have uploaded it to the live stream. Maybe I can do it in a second. But they have Maxed Out Mac and Screaming Spuds, Twisted Witches. What is that? It's Oh, these are the locations. I see. So they do have
yeah.
like they have zombie flesh fries, which is like fries with like it looks like beef on them and
Okay.
bacon, pumpkin pie funnel cake, which that sounds pretty damn good. I'm actually bummed
That
we
sounds
didn't try
pretty
that,
good.
man. That
Yeah,
sounds
we
pretty
should
good. Chupacabra nachos, which look like nachos but with hot Cheetos, which that sounds pretty good too, man. I'm not gonna
too
lie, I
hyped
do.
for that. Nacho cheese is spicy enough.
I do love a flaming hot Cheeto with a nacho cheese on it. I love it. I enjoy it. And then they did allow us to try the Scare Racha wings, which those were pretty good. Those were pretty damn good. So they do have specialty food. A lot of it is like spicy. So if you don't like spice, it's kind of unfortunately.
You tried them.
I tried them. They were pretty
I
good.
didn't.
They were pretty good.
I had the pudding. That was spicy enough.
There you go. Spicy pudding. All right, let's move on to the next maze, Saw X. What are your thoughts, friend, on Saw X?
So I could see why they were going to push back the opening a little bit. But man, the talent in there was good.
Top
They
notch.
sold it. They sold it so well. You could kind of tell there was some missing portions or props, scare actors, so on and so forth throughout. But I was surprisingly impressed with Saw X.
Yeah.
And I'm glad this might be a little spoiler to the house, but they didn't spoil the movie.
Interesting.
So
because you just watched the movie, right? You just
I did
literally
not. No.
Oh, you haven't watched it. Okay.
I saw The Nun 2.
The Nun 2. That's what it was. Okay. So yeah, Aaron, to answer your question, I have not seen Saw X either. Apparently they're handing out barf bags for this movie though. Apparently it is making people incredibly sick watching it. So
it's a movie. It's not real. Calm down. It's like Terrifier 2, people leaving sick. I'm like, relax.
Hey, I don't know, man. There was a couple of parts in Hostel when I watched it for the first time around that really like messed me up, bro. They almost had me. Fair. I know it's a visual effect, but
I know. Like there's things that will make me cringe, but getting sick, I don't think that will ever happen.
Sure.
For me at least.
But yeah, sorry, continue with the Saw X.
Oh yeah, but just the talent was on fire. The sets that they had in there were great. I loved the traps that we were able to see.
Yeah.
It was kind of like a nice tribute to all of the Saw movies for the most part.
Yes.
So it was a nice maze. Just the beginning 2 rooms didn't have anybody in there for us.
Yeah.
So when I first walked through that maze, I was like, oh, this is why they were gonna delay the opening a little bit. Right. But then I went into the next room with the first trap and I was like, all right, this is pretty cool.
Yeah.
But yeah, I really enjoyed it. Again, like Six Flags, come on, give Magic Mountain that budget because they are doing some good things and people will show up.
Absolutely. They will turn out. Absolutely, they will turn out. And you know, haunting fans like us, we'll go out there too. Because honestly, like I'll be completely frank and honest with you. I've kind of ignored Six Flags for a lot of years right now because it's the same lineup year after year, season after season. The pricing structure to me is also a big issue where you have to buy daytime admission. And then on top of that, you buy the haunted house pass. I am of the firm opinion, and I think they tried it with Scream Break with very, I think, poor results. But if they were to make Fright Fest an exclusive ticket, I think A, people would come out, and B, they would make more money. They would make a lot more money because now you can close off a ton of rides like they did for Scream Break. They can focus the money entirely from the ticket sales on the mazes. And, you know, really cater the experience instead of having everything open because that park is huge. Tons of restaurants, tons of rides. Instead of having the whole park open, they can cut down on staffing a little bit and then they can just focus on just the haunted houses. And I, for one, if they ever did that, I'd probably make it out a little bit more, especially if they continue on this path of like getting more IPs. I mean, what do you think of that, Nico?
No, I agree. Let me gather my thoughts. I was on the train and then it really derailed for me. Like there's a big old explosion in my brain. Like I'll bring Hallow Scream into it. So they started the first year with the front full half of the park.
Right.
And then just because of probably monetary reasons, they cut down to 1/4 of the park. And now this year it's like 1/8 of the park.
Right.
So that's a lot of money you could be saving, a lot of money you could be putting into the event. The only problem I have is I just don't know like the backstage layout or the layout in general
Sure.
for Six Flags to like,
Sure.
okay, let's put The Conjuring over in this side of the park
Right.
or whatever. But I think if they close a little half or a quarter of the park, I think it would help out a lot.
I agree. Because
And
also it's a lot of damn walking, man.
yeah,
It's a lot of
like
walking.
if we can move those houses that are on the hill down to a different area, like the whole uh Goliath area all the way down to, I would say, City Under Siege is empty. You
Right.
could have a scare zone in that area.
Right.
Um the Nightmare, he
Right.
was the only monster we saw.
Yeah. By
Or
himself,
two,
man.
yeah, one more monster in there. So
Sure.
two
Sure.
monsters in that whole area.
Right.
Um
Right.
yeah, but I think if they cut down a little bit, it would definitely help
I agree. I
with the
agree.
event.
Rob, 20 years? You've been going to
Good
Fright
job,
Fest for
man.
20 years, man? Wow.
That's cool.
Wild, bro. And Fright Fest is always going to have a special place in my heart because I went there a lot in high school. Before I was even like going frequently to horror nights, it was Fright Fest for me. I went there a couple of years in a row. Aaron, great question. Was the Saw maze long or how? Sorry. It was actually pretty sizable, man.
Yeah.
There was a part where I thought it was going to end. You go down like a red hallway, and I was like, oh, damn, is this like the end? Is this it?
Yeah.
But then it continued. It kept going. And I was like, okay, Six Flags, I see you.
I will say like one more thing. This is also with The Conjuring is I like the long hallways, but I want a little bit more
Sure.
than just
Sure.
the long hallway. Like the bathroom scene was super long for zero reason.
Right.
You could have cut that in half, had another
Sure.
trap in the maze.
Sure.
Yeah. The Conjuring, it kind of worked out because I was scary walking down that long hallway to your demise.
Right.
But I'm just give us something else besides it's a long hallway.
Right. Yeah. They're learning. They're trying. I'm sure,
They are.
again,
I'm proud of them.
great start. Great start, y'all. Yeah. Good job, kiddo. Speaking of kiddo 495, what does IP stand for? Intellectual property. That is anything that is not an in-house property from Six Flags or Knott's for instance, Stranger Things is an intellectual property that Horror Nights is working with, or The Last of Us, intellectual property. And we're nerds, so we're just shooting that out.
I know. Sorry.
Yeah, the IP is really good.
So you have your originals, so like Holidays in Hell,
Right.
and
Scarecrow,
Monstros,
right.
and then you have your IPs, Universal Monsters, Chucky, Stranger Things.
Exactly.
So.
Yeah. Wonders of Magic. The hills are the scariest part. Honestly,
They
though,
are.
anytime that I'm like, all right, here we go. Going up to Willoughby's or going up to Sewer of Souls, like, all right, here goes nothing.
Even walking down the hills, I was over it.
Yeah, totally. Rob, since 2002, damn, bro. Good shit,
crazy.
man. Good
for
shit.
you,
That's
man.
cool. Now I know who to call when I make a history of Fright Fest, man, because good Lord, that's wild.
I want to know all the houses that were at Fright Fest.
Sure.
Willoughby's.
Oh, man. So, yeah, I think in general, again, solid first year both for The Conjuring and for Saw. I think in the future, I'd like to see a little bit more fleshed out in the rooms. To your point, Nico, at times Saw felt very big and empty for me, whereas The Conjuring felt like nice and tight. I think they did a better job utilizing the space in The Conjuring because it did feel like you were a little bit more wrapped into the rooms, which is nice. Whereas, yeah, Saw something about it. When you would go into the rooms, it was just like victim, and then a giant chamber, which obviously I think means that they were hoping to have more props, more scenic in the houses, but for whatever reason, budgetary mostly, I'm sure they weren't able to achieve that. I also would love to see more sound design in both of the
Yes.
houses. They were missing it, and you don't know it's gone until it's not there or until it's
Yeah.
bad, right?
Yeah.
Um, I was really hoping that we would hear like the classic Saw theme,
Yeah.
that we would hear Jigsaw's laugh. Stuff like that was missing, or even in The Conjuring, right? Like we didn't hear the music box, which is very iconic to the
Yeah.
first
Yeah. Yeah.
movie.
Yeah.
We didn't really get, and I used to be kind of annoyed by trigger scares, where a actor, a performer activates lights and sound. I used to be kind of annoyed by those, but now I'm a big fan of them. And I think going through Conjuring and Saw, I definitely felt like they could have benefited from those for sure. Because a lot of the pig mask guys would just kind of come out, and they startle me because I'm pretty easy startle, especially if you come out of
Yes.
nowhere in my
Don't watch my
peripheral.
videos. Shaky as heck, man.
But I
But
do think adding that would really add to the intensity of that. Anything else you noticed about these mazes, Nico?
yeah, you pretty much hit the nail on the head. Like I thinking about it now, I wish there was the Saw theme. I
Right,
wish there was at least Jigsaw talking about the trap in each
right,
room.
right.
Um, yeah, that's a pretty iconic piece
Yeah,
of Saw that you're missing.
right.
Hopefully we see videos or are able to head back this season to just check it out again
Sure.
and see what upgrades they are able to do.
Right.
Um, but yeah, I don't really know anything much about the Conjuring soundtrack. Like you said,
The music
the music
box.
box that would be pretty cool.
Yeah.
But yeah, yeah, the soundtrack needed a bit more audio.
Yeah. A little bit more. A little more oomph to it for sure.
Yes.
Now, speaking of upgrades, we're going to move on to our next new question mark, new maze for this year. Truth or Dare. Now, Truth or Dare premiered last year. There's no secret, incredibly terrible reviews. And I watched the walkthroughs of this, and I can see why it was so poorly reviewed. Lots of plain walls, not a lot of scenic.
Lots.
You want to talk about empty rooms? I mean, Truth or Dare had them. It was like every room there was like nothing in them. It was literally just kind of dark and foggy. Um, I loved the concept of it, but the maze itself last year didn't really translate that. And
Yeah.
I kind of have a bone to pick with Six Flags because they ripped out Red's Revenge, which
Oh,
is probably one of the most scenic heavy houses at Six Flags. And then they didn't do really anything with the space last year. So I was really bummed. But this year, Nico, what are your thoughts on Truth or Dare, man?
huh. So like you were saying, Truth or Dare last year was like Exorcist Black Walls to the max. Like I don't even think I saw any theme
Right,
when I watched those videos. It was just black walls from beginning to end. But
right.
this year I was honestly quite surprised
Same.
with how cool it was. Like you had a lot of things from what was it? The hole in the wall, the hole in the wall room.
Right.
This the scare didn't really make sense in that room,
Sure.
but it was scary. It got
Sure.
me.
Sure. Yeah.
um there's a part where you kind of paused, and I don't understand what that room was with the lasers.
Oh, sure. Yeah, I don't get what it was either. It's
But
like toxic chemicals, I guess.
no, no, no. There are like four lasers that started at
Oh,
one
oh,
wall.
oh, like the laser grid. Yes. right? Is that what you're talking about?
I
Like
think so.
the
Yeah,
entrapment laser grid?
yeah, and you didn't want to walk through it, and I'm like, Jonathan, hurry up! I'm filming. No, I'm kidding. But yeah, like it was a really cool concept. I really
Sure.
liked it this year.
Yeah.
Um, some of the rooms didn't really make sense.
Sure.
So there's this one girl where she like threw herself at me or at us and would just fly backwards. And I'm like, how are you not like snapping your neck doing
Right.
this? Because
On the
that looks
bungee,
like,
right?
yeah, that looks like
Yeah.
it hurts.
Yeah. Oh yeah, man. Full force,
But
just full
yeah,
run,
she
and
was like,
then
I was like, and that wasn't even how hard she did it.
right,
But
right.
it wasn't my favorite, but I was surprised how much I actually liked it.
Sure, sure. Yeah, definitely a vast improvement from last season, which again,
Mhm.
I didn't go to Fright Fest last season because it was kind of the same lineup again. Now, Knott's repeats mazes. Even Horror Nights is starting to repeat mazes, but Horror Nights does it once and then kind of doesn't really bring it back again. Knott's obviously there's like a 5-6 year run if you're lucky of mazes, but they'll change things, they'll add things, they'll reconfigure things. Six Flags for the most part kind of leaves them exactly the same, the way they've been, or maybe they'll add like a weird sponsor, like in Willoughby's in 2021 they had it's Ghost Adventures was like the sponsor that
Oh
season.
yeah,
And they
no,
had like
it was like some weird. I don't think it was Discovery, but
I
it
think
was
because
like
it's Warner Discovery,
it
right?
was kind of like a knockoff of Ghost Adventures. I don't think it was.
Okay, all right. It was something.
gonna
It was
find
some
it.
ghost hunting show. Then they had like random props that were labeled, ghost whatever, and that was their big IP crossover. But again, I'm seeing Six Flags. I see you. I see you putting forth the effort because this season, Truth or Dare, had more of a fleshed out story. It had scares that were like they were more unique. In fact, this year I saw for the first time ever in Truth or Dare, they had the classic air walls, right, where it's like you're walking the claustrophobia
Yeah,
walls, but they projected onto them, and they
yeah,
had like little bugs projected onto them.
that was cool.
That was neat. I've never seen that used in a haunt before. That
Yeah,
was
that
really
was
neat.
neat.
Again, like it's little things like that where it's like, all right, I see what you're doing now. I see the effort. And again, I can't stress it enough. If they put forth more of that effort, Fright Fest is going to continue evolving and may even really be a contender to like rival Horror Nights or Knots, which I, for one, would love. I would love to see
Yeah,
that, especially with the Warner Brothers library that there is for like all the horror movies they have. So overall, Truth or Dare, not bad. Not
not
bad.
bad. Yeah,
Yeah, not bad at all. Thanks for the effort. Now, the other one that came back I guess this one was a little bit of a change. Condemned House Party. They had Condemned House Party during Scream Break, which Scream Break was actually a really fun event. We actually had a blast checking out Scream Break. Even though it was a tiny event, I love the idea of having a haunt in March, in April. That's pretty fun for me. But yeah, so they brought that theme from Scream Break to this year, and it didn't really hit the same that it did in Scream Break. What are your thoughts on Condemned House Party, Nico?
I thought the scares were fine.
Sure,
Like I got scared a few times in there,
sure.
but you just made it brighter. Put some like Christmas lights
Yeah.
around the house. It just didn't do it for me. There's a projection of some guy dancing in a bathtub.
Right.
I just I enjoyed myself. I just didn't get it.
Right.
And I think this one is a maze that needs to get a new theme for
Sure.
next year.
I agree.
But
Now, a new theme or like a rework entirely?
Oh,
like a
like-
new maze.
new maze, new
Sure.
theme, new maze.
Yeah, I agree. I think both Condemned and Vault 666, it's time. Like we had a terrible run, by the way, of Vault 666. And it wasn't even like, I think it was within the last 2 hours of the event, I want to say. Um,
Yeah.
and there was nobody in there, and poor Vault 666 has just gone through it, man. Like it's such like a hodgepodge little maze.
Yeah.
I definitely think it's time for that one to go. But it would be cool to have two new mazes, technically three new mazes in that area, where Condemned is, where Vault 666 is. Definitely, they've served their time
They
very
did.
well.
They did.
I think
I'd
it's time to go.
honestly would have rather had the Hellfest theme
Sure.
than Vault 666. Like, I know we're jumping to that maze, but
Yeah.
it was not it.
No,
It
it
was
really
not it.
wasn't.
Ugh.
Yeah. Yeah.
But kudos to the people in that maze, because that glow room, that first scare, I was like, where is everybody? Then I had the crap scared out of me.
Sure.
So kudos to the crew that was in the maze, but it was maybe 3 or 4 monsters.
Yeah. Yeah. And one of them definitely got me too in one of the darker portions. Kind of popped out of nowhere and got me right before you walk into the room with the big plexiglass panel. That has like somebody being, I guess, sacrificed in it. I don't even know
Oh
what
yeah, I
they're
don't
doing.
know.
But yeah, they definitely got me there too. And speaking of being rocked, Willoughby's easily continues to be one of my favorite houses at Six Flags. I got scared so many times in Willoughby's, even though it's been kind of the same. It's still pretty powerful, man.
Yeah, they had a really cool effect in there with Innocence.
Yes, yeah, with the Pepper's ghosts, right?
Yeah, that scared me pretty
Yeah.
good.
Oh yeah. Out of nowhere, somebody comes and rocks the plexiglass, like literally slams on it. And, I told everyone I thought it was like a 6.0 on the Richter. I thought like that's it, we're done. Willoughby's is our last house ever. But yeah, they got us pretty good. And then toward the end there too, toward the finale, I was getting rocked by at least 3 or 4 performers
yeah.
at like one after another, man. I don't know. I don't even know what was happening. I was literally just like screaming. They were coming at me from fucking above, below, to my left, to my right. Kudos to
Yeah.
y'all.
Yeah,
That got me real good.
the scare actors were phenomenal.
Oh yeah, absolutely, absolutely.
I do have one question though. Do you
Sure.
think Saw X will return next year, or do you think it will be rethemed to some random Mr. Six's Traps of Terror?
Mr.
Something I don't know.
Oh, dude, that would be a twisted overlay, man. Just like
That
a
would.
scary Mr. Six
Yeah.
with his glasses on and like, let's play
Just-
a game.
Vengabus bumping through the whole maze.
That's it. Actually, you just sit down and listen to that on a loop, like you're sitting in the
Oh.
bus and like.
You waited 3 hours 40 minutes for this?
I do hope that the Conjuring and Saw come back. I do hope that this is the start of a really cool IP relationship with Six Flags because there's a lot of potential there,
Yeah.
a ton of potential, especially with the Warner Brothers horror library, a ton of potential. And the more that they add to this event, the more that they replace at this event, I think the more the people are going to come out. So
Yeah.
make it happen, y'all. Make it happen. And with that, I mean, I guess we can give our final thoughts. Sewer of Souls, Aftermath 2, Chaos Rising.
Oh, yeah.
Sewer of Souls is pretty fun. Aftermath 2, great scenic. I love it. I love them using the old Batman sets. That's always like, there's nothing like it, right?
No, like Aftermath 2, honestly, is a pretty fire maze. And
Yeah.
we got rocked in that
We
a
did.
couple times.
Yeah.
Like,
That's one that
there's-
could, there's so many spots to hide, and they use them so well.
Yeah. We got ping ponged a few times in there.
We really did.
Super good. What else? Oh, Sewer of Souls. Your classic 3D maze.
Right.
I'll never be mad at a good old school 3D maze.
Right.
But maybe in a few years it'll be its time to go for a new 3D maze.
I mean, honestly, yeah. Nothing wrong with the classic 3D maze, especially if it's done well. And I think back to Dia at Knott's, right? Dia de los Muertos.
Oh yeah.
Pretty fun.
Yeah.
Neon 3D maze. So
Yeah.
something like that would be pretty cool.
I would love to see what in Saw X's spot what a clown maze would be like with City Under Siege right there.
Oh, sure. That would be pretty cool.
Yeah.
That'd be pretty cool. But
But
yeah, fingers crossed. Conjuring and Saw come back and that they continue using IPs from the Warner Brothers library. And well, I think that's it for the houses, man. Any closing
Yeah.
thoughts on Six Flags Fright Fest here?
Again, train wreck in my brain. The Conjuring Saw X, super good. The original mazes, they were good. Just Vault 666 and Condemned.
Yeah.
I think it's your time to go. Truth or Dare, so much better than last year. Yeah, just I think Six Flags is still one of the best makeups I've seen.
Yes.
I think the makeup on the streets is super, super good.
Yes.
Nightmare didn't have his little hair horns.
Oh, that's true. They
That
changed his
night.
look a little bit. Yeah.
He now just looks like a clown running
Right.
around the front of that wilderness building, which was kind of odd.
Right.
But yeah, it's a fun event.
Yeah.
I think it's also, I like seeing like, oh, is this a place you would go for the first time if you're getting into Halloween events, or
Sure.
if you're a veteran? I think this is a little bit like more in the middle,
Sure.
because we got scared freaking good at this event.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
And
Yeah.
like, I can't talk about them enough. The talent in these mazes were so good.
Yes.
So maybe if you're new to the Halloween scene, which I don't think any of you in the chat are,
Right.
don't make Six Flags Fright Fest your first, but definitely check it out later in the run.
Yeah, definitely. Absolutely. And well, I think Six Flags has a bright future if they continue on this path. And I can't wait to see what's in its future, man. Nico, do you have your walkthroughs of all the houses up yet?
Yeah, I just posted all of them today.
Nice.
So-
All right, Nico, tell everyone where they can find you online, my friend.
So you could find me on Twitter, Threads, here on YouTube. What did I say already? Facebook, Instagram, at Entertainment Connection. Just look for the little splat logo, and that is me. Just working on my Shacktoberfest videos right now.
Oh.
But yeah, Scream Fest, Fright Fest, Hallow Scream, Horror Nights, Scary Farm. All the videos are up there if you're not able to make it out to any of them. And yeah,
Good stuff, my
Check 'em
friend.
out.
Good stuff. Cool. All right, and of course you can find us on Instagram and Twitter at the Hauntline. Here on YouTube, of course. I'm trying to put out some videos soon, hopefully. But until then, we're doing a lot of live streams, which are a lot of fun.
they are.
Until everyone joining us in the chat, thank you so much for joining us today. This is a
we
good
answer
question.
Aaron's
Yeah,
question?
Aaron's question. What was the best original maze in your opinions at Fright Fest? The best original for me, Willoughby's. Willoughby's for sure, man. What about you, Nico?
I'd have to say Aftermath too.
Sure.
I
Yeah,
just
heavy hitters, man.
just walking through those old Batman stunt show sets, and just the monsters like left, right,
Oh.
big walk-through sets. It's just
Truly, there is nothing else like it out there in terms of scale, in terms of scenic. Like it's pretty damn awesome.
yeah.
And then Willoughby's, I'm a sucker for a haunted house.
Oh
And
yeah,
Willoughby's
good old
is
school
so
haunted house.
damn long, man. It is long,
It is.
and there's a lot of places for those fuckers to hide too, and they take advantage of it. Let me tell you, they take full advantage of it for sure.
Yes, they do.
Well, thanks again for everyone joining us in the chat tonight. It was great chatting Six Flags with you. And yeah, give the video a thumbs up, drop a comment, and until the next time, thank you for calling the Hauntline. See y'all.
Goodbye.